with black and weighing in at 10 stone, 1.5 pounds, bringing a 24-fight record. 13 wins, 3 inside the scheduled distance, 9 losses and 2 draws. He's from Northampton and fighting out of the Bristol Boys camp. Would you please welcome the Gladiator, Eamonn Bosworth. And across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, he's wearing the white, green and gold trunks and weighed in at 10 stone, 3.25 pounds. In a 21-fight record, 19 wins, 15 inside the scheduled distance and only 2 defeats. He comes to the ring as the current Commonwealth light welterweight champion from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Please welcome Eamonn Magee. Timekeeper at the bell is Neil Burder, and referee in charge of the action is Grant Wallace. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 10 3-minute rounds.
When I say break, I want a good clean break. In the event of a knockdown, the boxer stand and go to a neutral corner. Defend yourself at all times. Shake hands. Good luck.
The hard, tough, moody talent of Eamonn Magee, a real one-man against the world character. Commonwealth light welterweight champion and desperate for a world title opportunity. Can't afford any slip-ups here. And once or twice in the past, he has been negative enough to make it very close against the so-called lower grade opposition. Not that Eamonn Bosworth, here in the purple trunks, is a bad fighter. Far from it, a career hardened with tricky fights and short notice dates. Bosworth still dreams of the British title and really fancies the upset here. It's interesting, Jim, because you never know what you're going to get with Eamonn Magee.
That's exactly right. I mean, Eamonn Magee boxing to his best, really should be able to handle Bosworth, but nobody gets an easy night's work from Eamonn Bosworth. He gives 100% every time he's into the ring, and if Magee expects this to be easy, then he could be in for a shock.
Beautiful skills of the world-class amateur from the Ardoyne area of Belfast, up against the rugged determination of the man that trains in his back garden in Northampton, raised on what he calls the worst street in the worst area of town. Eamonn Bosworth, nothing has come easy to him, but he took Shea Neary very, very close in a fight at the Elephant and Castle last year, and we thought Neary pipped Magee last time out. He's had notice, Bosworth. He says he's got to get through the first 3 or 4 rounds and then try and take Magee late.
That was a good body shot from Magee then.
Bosworth bravely comes back, but he's got a sharp dig, hasn't he, Magee?
Yeah, powerful puncher, but Bosworth's doing the right thing. He's keeping his defences tight at long range, and when he mounts an attack, he's moving in behind his punches. If he reaches with punches to a master boxer like Magee, he's going to be punished. So when he throws punches, he's moving in behind the punches, so if they miss it, he can tie Magee up. But we'll see if Magee comes up with an answer or how soon he does.
He's got to be very careful, Bosworth, of the Magee counter punches. Very controversial fight, his defence in Belfast. Eamonn Magee against Shea Neary, bitter rivals. Neary, of course, from Liverpool and Dublin. Magee from Belfast. And he was negative for so much of that fight, Magee. He believed he won it easily. Many at ringside thought Neary deserved the belt. Roy Francis didn't, had it 2 points to Eamonn Magee. Looking for the left straight hand, Magee. Bosworth needs to keep those hands nice and high in these opening rounds, or the power of Magee could overwhelm him. Experienced team there with Eamonn Magee. John Breen on the left, had 5 world champions, and Denny Mancini just over the top rope there.
Corners, 10 seconds.
Stiff jab, use your boxing, says Breen to Eamonn Magee. There's much the better skilled operator here in the Irish colours against Northampton's 33-year-old Alan Bosworth in the purple of Chris Sanagar's Bristol boys. For once, he's had plenty of time to prepare for this. He wanted Magee or British champion Ricky Hatton. He's got the Commonwealth light welterweight holder and the tricky Irish counter-puncher who can get bored and lazy in fights.
Yeah, he seems to fall asleep, lose interest, and then snap back in again. But Bosworth, they're trying to back him up, trying to pin him on the ropes, which is good tactics as well. I mean, we don't expect Bosworth to win this one. We expect him to make it tough for Magee, and I think that's what he's setting about doing at the moment.
He expects to win this one. He was talking to us for about 20 minutes at ringside earlier and said he knows exactly how to beat Magee. He'll cover up and back him up onto the ropes and make him work. When Eamonn Magee fights at his own pace, he looks the full package.
He's boxing well at the moment, Magee. He's not doing anything silly, not taking really any chances. His jab's working well. He's getting some snap into the punches.
He's got power. 15 knockouts and his 19 wins, Magee. And if you compare an opponent in common, bar Shane Neary, in the awkward southpaw David Kirk, well, Magee knocked him out in impressive fashion, and Bosworth only managed a draw, although he felt he was robbed, as so often he has in his career.
But he's keeping Bosworth on the defensive in this round, and I mean, that is obviously no use for Alan Bosworth. He has to be attacking, leading off and moving in behind his punches. But Magee boxing well at the moment.
He looks big in there, doesn't he, Magee, with that huge weight advantage. Probably weighing somewhere close to 11 stone to Bosworth's 10-4 tonight. Magee, who didn't make the weight, not even at the second attempt. 10-3 3/4 first up. The weight was meant to be 10-2 for this match. Bosworth gets money for it. Is that lack of dedication?
No, I expect he'll be fit enough. Probably a lack of preparation. I believe he had a couple of visits to the scales in the Neary fight as well. You'll remember it was 2 visits to make the weight that night too. I think he's just a little bit careless. I don't think he's got serious weight troubles or anything. Maybe just his attitude lets him down now and again.
Beautiful, swift combination there on the counter from Magee. And Bosworth walked into those face first.
It's cricket for you on Thursday morning, exclusively live coverage of day 1 of the decisive 3rd test between Sri Lanka and England. Action starting 4:15 on Thursday morning on Sky Sports 2. It continues right through until midday, but if you miss any of the live action, highlights in the World Cricket Centre every evening during the test match.
Round 3.
Third round here. The Commonwealth light welterweight champion, keeping busy. Eamonn Magee from Belfast calls himself the Terminator, up against the Gladiator in Alan Bosworth. Bosworth from Northampton, come up the unfashionable way. And we're still talking defence in the Chris Sanagar corner. He needs to weather the storm because Magee's getting into a rhythm.
Yeah, that's the big problem. I said it in the introductions, if Magee boxes to his best, then I don't think Bosworth will find an answer. At the moment, Magee is boxing well, he's controlling things. His jab's working well, his defence is good. I mean, it's an all-round good performance so far. And really, Bosworth is struggling to get started.
Yes, we have had our criticisms of Eamonn Magee, but when he boxes well, he is a joy to watch. And you must remember that although Bosworth took Neary close, Neary and Magee are very different types of fighters. Well-schooled, technical ability, world-class amateur senior international at 17 was Eamonn Magee. Very unlucky not to represent at the Barcelona Olympics.
And he's not going through the motions here either. He's putting a little bit of spite into the punches. He's stepping in with them. There we go. You can see he's looking to shake Bosworth up here.
Excellent jabs from Magee from the southpaw style. And Bosworth hasn't got into this yet at all. Trying to back Magee up. But he has to be so very careful. Just makes a face at Bosworth. He's a real character, Eamonn Magee, isn't he?
See, Bosworth speaking to Magee as well. I think he's trying to draw him into a mistake. He's saying things like, come on, let's get on with it. I think he's trying to break the rhythm of Magee, but Magee a little bit too experienced for that.
He looks in total control here, Eamonn Magee, which he didn't look against Shea Neary. And he said he would blow away the Liverpool man inside 7 rounds before the fight. It was anything but that.
That was a good left hand.
Looking very ragged here, and there's a smile now and an air of arrogance about Eamonn Magee, and why not? He's boxing very, very well.
And he knows Bosworth hasn't made the slightest impression on him. I mean, he's showing nice little feints. He's wrong-footed. He's making full use of the southpaw stance, getting outside of Bosworth's jab. He's doing everything right at the moment.
Yes, Bosworth, who only has 3 stoppages on his record, is not a puncher. He really has to just try and cover up for these few rounds. He's a battle-hardened warrior, but he's getting outboxed and outclassed in the ring. A calm Magee corner, not over the other side. 27-0 on jabs landed. It's a very nice southpaw move he's got there, Magee.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing that a southpaw should do. He's stepping to his own right, getting outside Bosworth's jab. So he's taking, as the stats tell you, he's totally taken Bosworth's jab away from him. He's getting outside it and picking the target. And if a southpaw gets outside the orthodox man's jab, he has him at his mercy, and that's what's been happening all the way through here. And a couple of times Bosworth gets close. That was a beautiful little left-hand counter. Just knocked him off balance, didn't shake him up, but it was a lovely shot.
Everything going well for the Irish corner. Just touches his gloves there, Magee. Looks really motivated for this. We were worried that because it wasn't a title defense or even a world opportunity, which he wants so much, he was calling out Kostya, who's just unified the WBA and WBC belts, or Zab Judah, the IBF king. They're due to meet in June. Magee just hanging on and waiting for his opportunity. And he is boxing impressively tonight.
I mean, there is the possibility of the fact that Bosworth gave Neary such a tough time. Maybe Magee wants to make a point, maybe wants a clear-cut victory, maybe even looking for a stoppage as it goes on here, just to make a point, because I think he still has the ghost of Neary hanging over him, with people arguing about the decision.
Do you think he really believes he won that, even looking back on the tape?
I think so, yeah. I think he thought he was boxing well, but the result didn't worry me so much as the fact that he didn't show a champion's qualities that night. He's shown them more tonight, but I'd rather have seen him do it that night against Neary. He was a bit negative. He didn't give enough of himself that night.
And he didn't show any respect to Shea Neary afterwards, which was not good. But it's a hard business, and Magee is one hard fighter. He's got 3 children to feed. John Breen, who's been with him for years, was worried initially about taking him on. The troubled Eamonn Magee as a kid, but he's stuck with him and says he's matured and he knows the business inside and out. He's certainly boxing like that.
Yeah, what's evident is a difference in class here at the moment. I mean, Magee is boxing to his best, and Bosworth can't get started. It's reaching the stage now. Bosworth's taking punches without landing. He's just going to have to totally commit himself and just charge forward and get some punches off. But I don't even think he's got the ability to do that. There's just a gap in class, and it's becoming evident because Magee's boxing so well.
The Bosworth game plan was to survive the first 3 rounds and then pressure Magee, but this is the 4th, and he's showing no evidence of being able to get out of the way of these quality combinations. The flicking of the jab and the neat straight lefts that Magee is displaying. He has lost 9 fights, remember, Bosworth, so he's not in the top contenders in the British division, probably around about 11 or 12.
And Magee does look so much bigger than Bosworth, doesn't he? There's like a welterweight and with a lightweight at the moment.
Absolutely. Respect there at the end. It's all Magee, though. They've been saying in the Bosworth corner, you've got to get your left foot outside of Magee's right.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but with a southpaw and an orthodox, it's the battle of the jabs. Whoever can get outside the other man's jab, then you have a clear target, and there's no hard punches can come back your way. But the trouble is that is the theory. Putting it into practice is difficult, especially against this man who's boxing so well at the moment.
Certainly a rather dejected look from the 33-year-old Alan Bosworth in his 25th fight. He's won 13. He said he's been robbed, given short notice fights against the likes of Colin Dunn. She ground down to lightweight to make, and a loss against Wayne Rigby after unbeaten in 9 fights at the beginning of his career. It's been up and down all the way, and he really wants a shot at Ricky Hatton. He's in there with one of the best light welterweights in the British Isles, if not the best. It's arguable. On his day, could well be Eamonn Magee.
Yep, probably. And he's enjoying this tonight. He's putting on a show. His concentration is good. Everything's good. You can't really fault his performance so far.
No, he's got the look of a champion. 29 now, Eamonn. That's enough. It's being called off by Grant Wallace. Well, that is a major surprise. Alan Bosworth looks down at us. I mean, he was getting totally outclassed in there, but there were no signs that he was in any trouble, Jim.
Well, Adam, there was no doubt who was winning the fight. Let's face it, I mean, Bosworth was hardly landing a punch, and I tell you, it's a brave referee, and I think you have to take your hat off to him. Okay, a referee's not there just to get you out of there just before you're knocked out. It wasn't competitive. He was getting caught with full-blooded shots. He'd made no impact on Magee whatsoever. I say it was a brave referee. I don't think I would have the courage to step in then, but he decided the fight wasn't competitive. Bosworth had tried everything he could try. He'd put up a show, and he stepped in.
No question, it was all Magee from opening bell, but I think this was a very, very strange stoppage.
It wasn't a stoppage to save Bosworth being knocked out. I think the referee decided it wasn't competitive. He was getting tuned up steadily, and Adam, to be honest with you, much more punishment could be inflicted on boxers who have been tuned up rather than people being knocked out by clean shots. If he'd taken this for 10 rounds, it wouldn't have done him any good. He'd made no impact whatsoever. He wasn't at the races, let's be honest. He wasn't going to be knocked out, but he wasn't at the races. But I got to say, a brave referee. He'll take some stick for this, but I take my hat off to him.
Well, very brave referee, and it'll be interesting to see what the fighters think afterwards. No question that Eamonn Magee was on top form tonight, and throws a warning to any of the other British light welterweights. Some people think he's third in the country. He may well be number 1 after that, and I'd like to see him in a world title fight later in the year.
Ladies and gentlemen, timekeeper Neil Burder has recorded a time of 1 minute 12 seconds of the 5th round. Referee Grant Wallace has stopped the contest, with Bosworth in no position to continue. Your winner from Belfast, Eamonn Magee. And show your appreciation for the gladiator, Alan Bosworth.
We'll try and get a word with Magee in a moment or two. Backstage, Adrian Stone is getting ready for our top of the bill here tonight. He has surged his way through the light middleweight rankings in Britain in the last year and a half after coming from the United States. Back in the West Country tonight, where his story began, and determined to put on a show here in Plymouth. Stone at Townsley, coming shortly. Eamonn Magee has a short night's work. Did break sweat, though. Here he is with Adam Smith.
Yes, Eamonn Magee, beautiful performance tonight. From the opening bell, you totally dominated Alan Bosworth. You pleased?
I was actually not so much pleased. I was actually getting tougher sparring back home with Mark Winters. It was just such a workout for maybe a defence of my title next month.
But it was a very, very strange ending. Did you think it should be stopped?
Well, let's be honest. We could have stepped the boxing up at any stage. I was walking him out there. The jab was never out of his face. He wasn't moving his head left or right. I thought the referee made the correct decision to stop the fight.
Alan Bosworth, you obviously don't think he made the correct decision. You were on your feet and ready to go on.
The plan was, I mean, I told Bob Mee, the plan was to weather the early storm and come on strong. I was weathering the early storm. You know, he was throwing bombs at me, trying to get me out there.
To be fair, he was boxing very, very well.
Definitely boxing beautiful. But I knew that. You don't do silver medalist in the World Amateur Championships for nothing, and this guy is class. But I knew that, and that was the game plan. Let him get his amateur experience over 3 and 4 rounds, and I was hoping to come on strong. But fair play to Eamonn, you know.
Fair play, and one of the best performances we've seen from you in a long time, Eamonn. What's the next step?
First of all, Paul seems to forget that I also have 22 professional fights. And remain getting the 3 and 4 rounds over me. I went 12 rounds twice. The next step's hopefully a defence of my Commonwealth title and hopefully a European title or world title sometime in the year.
You've been calling out Kostya Tszyu. He's got a unification with Zab Judah. How do you get the winner of that?
Yeah, I'm fed up calling out Kostya Tszyu. I had to do the same thing with Neary and it took me 2 years, so it looks like it's maybe going to take me 2 years now trying to get Kostya Tszyu into the ring.
Okay.
But concerning, there's only one fight in Britain that everybody, the whole public wants to see, and that's myself and Ricky Hatton. Hopefully, if he beats Jason Rowlands, we can both get it on, get the promoters and managers down together, and me and Hatton get it on, and let's see who the best in Britain is.
I'd like to see Magee Hatton. Well done tonight.
Thank you.